Imagine a cold winter night in Canada. Thousands of fans bundled up in their jerseys, chanting, cheering, and living for one thing, hockey. But not just any hockey. NHL hockey, where pride and national glory are on the line. This is more than just a sport for Canadians, it's their identity. Ask any Canadian fan, and they'll tell you straight the best hockey players in the world, they're from somewhere in Canada. But what happens when that national pride gets tangled in a fierce rivalry with their southern neighbors and the rest of the world? Watch the video till the end, because we're about to reveal something shocking about this rivalry that could change the way you look at the NHL forever. Let's look back to where it all started. In Canada, hockey isn't just a game, it's a way of life. Imagine a country where kids grow up dreaming of becoming the next Wayne Gretzky or Sidney Crosby, a place where there's always a Canada's team in the playoffs. But what happens when those teams struggle? The answer isn't pretty. NHL fans in Canada wear their hearts on their sleeves. So when the NHL chairman Gary Bettman made the controversial decision to move two Canadian teams, it wasn't just a business move. It was seen as a direct attack on their national pride. For Canadians, hockey is ours, they say. And anyone who threatens that, well, they might as well be public enemy number one. But we'll get to that part of the story a little later. Now, here's where things get interesting. While Canadians will tell you that defeating Russia or any European team in a world tournament is great, there's one victory that tastes a little sweeter: beating the USA. Why, you ask? Well, let's put it this way. Hockey in the USA has grown. From the miracle on ice in 1980 to today's powerhouse teams like the Chicago Blackhawks or the Pittsburgh Penguins, the USA is no longer just a minor player in the hockey world. And that doesn't sit well with Canadians. To them, hockey is their game. Seeing their southern neighbors succeed can feel like an invasion of what belongs to Canada. The tension reached its peak during key matchups. Canadian fans see the NHL with a distinct us versus them mentality. Every game becomes a battle for national pride. When they win, it's a victory for the entire country. And when they lose, well, let's just say it stings a little more. But hold on, it's not just Canada and the USA. The NHL has become a global stage. Players from all over the world, from Russia to Sweden to Croatia, have entered the league, adding a new dimension to the sport. Yet beside the international talent, Canadians still cling to the belief that their players are the best. And honestly, it's hard to argue with names like Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon leading the charge. But here's the twist. As much as Canadians celebrate their own, they also get protective. When Gary Bettman blocked teams from relocating north of the border, it sparked outrage. Canadian fans believed he was purposely keeping the league from expanding in Canada. Remember when the Winnipeg Jets returned? Many Canadians saw it as Bettman trying to save face after years of moving teams south. But was it really about making amends, or was there something more strategic behind that decision? We'll dive deeper into that mystery next. Now let's talk about the man in the middle of it all, NHL chairman Gary Bettman. To many Canadian fans, Bettman is the villain of the story. When he moved the Quebec Nordiques to Colorado and the Winnipeg Jets to Phoenix, it felt like a betrayal. And when he repeatedly stopped new Canadian franchises from forming, it only added fuel to the fire. But was it really about him hating Canada, or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Maybe, just maybe, Bettman saw the potential for bigger profits and a larger audience in the USA. The American market was expanding rapidly, and it made business sense to grow the league there. But Canadians didn't see it that way. For them, it was personal. Hockey was being taken away from its rightful place in Canada. And the anger only grew as Bettman continued to make controversial decisions, which brings us to a recent controversy involving none other than Don Cherry. Now, if there's anyone who represents the Canadian hockey spirit, it's Don Cherry. He's been a loud and proud supporter of Canadian players for decades. So when he publicly blasted the Toronto Maple Leafs GM Brian Burke for not having enough Ontario players on the team, it created a storm of debate. Cherry wasn't just criticizing a team, he was tapping into the hearts of Canadian hockey fans. To them, this was further proof that Canadian talent wasn't being respected enough in the NHL, even by their own teams. But here's the thing, the world of hockey is changing. The NHL is more global than ever. And while Canada continues to produce top-tier talent, the USA and other countries aren't far behind. So where does that leave us? The rivalry between Canada and the USA isn't just about winning games. It's about identity, national pride, and the very soul of hockey itself. As long as the NHL exists, this rivalry will continue to burn bright. But the next time you tune in for a game, remember this: behind every goal, every check, and every win, there's a bigger story unfolding. And just maybe, we haven't seen the biggest chapter of this rivalry yet. If you love this video of the NHL's greatest rivalry, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.